Hey guys, happy Wednesday. I want to talk to you today about something that I know is really going to help you out because I struggled with this a lot, and I want to be able to explain to you some of the things that you can do to kind of overcome this issue. And it's really talking about the balanced life and talking about how you need more balance in your life. I hear that so much, and I used to say it myself where I felt like, man, I just feel like I am just dropping the ball on all of these different areas of my life. I just need to find a balance. And I think a lot of the times, especially in law enforcement families, that there is this, there is no balance because the career takes a lot of focus and it takes a lot of attention, and then the other areas kind of fall off. So I really want to kind of explain balance, really, but then also kind of give you some tips on kind of reframing your mind around the whole balanced life thing. Hey, everybody. All right. So first, I want to say that I didn't make this up. I got this idea actually from a book, and it's actually a book my husband is reading. It's called The One Thing. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's probably backwards, but it's called The One Thing, and there's a chapter in the book that talks about a balanced life. And he talks about how there is absolutely no such thing as a balanced life. There is no way you can actually balance your life equally, like all of the different areas of your life. Like, it's impossible. You can't do that. So it's, you put time in one thing, and it means that you're taking time away from something else. So there isn't really a way to find this kind of peaceful balance. So we find that in our lives, right? Because most of you probably are really busy. You have careers, you have family, you have kids, you have all of this stuff going on in your life, and you feel like it's overwhelming, right? Because there are some areas that you feel you need to be you need to focus more on, but then that means that the other areas are going to suffer too. So we're just constantly trying to find the balance, and there's good news and bad news, right? So the good news is well, bad news is there is no there is no balance. There's no such thing. But the good news is that you can still actually do something where you do feel that sense of balance, but it's not necessarily that. And I'll kind of explain that as I go on. But trying to find the balance in all of the areas in your life will actually kind of make you mediocre at everything. So you won't really excel at some of the things that you need to excel at because you're just giving a little bit of yourself to everything. And you just can't do that. It's just not possible. So, what he talks about is really about counterbalance, not necessarily balanced life, but a counterbalanced life. And really, what that means is that you're never going so far that you can't find your way back, or staying long that when you do get back, there's like nothing left. So, kind of what that means is that you're not going to put so much focus on one specific area, like let's say your work, for a really long period of time, because then you're going to turn back and see that you didn't spend time with your family. And this is like the perfect example when it comes to police officers, right? So police officers, their career kind of trumps everything else, it seems. When you have a family, like, the job is really important. They have to be there. They're first responders, so they, have to drop what they're doing, and they have to spend long hours at work, right? So that's kind of an extreme where you have this career that you spend a lot of time in for a really long period of time, for however long your career is. And then a lot of people find that, they didn't pay attention to their families, that their relationships are kind of a mess. They didn't spend time with their kids, and that's kind of how it goes, sadly, for a lot of people. So it's really finding a counterbalance that's going to help with that. So really, like, the analogy that he uses, and he actually got this from somebody else. he talks about this juggling act. So there are 5 areas of your life, or 5 aspects of your life. It's work, it's family, it's health, it's friends, and integrity. So when he talks about this juggling act, it's like you're juggling these balls, and each ball represents that aspect of your life. Now, people think that these balls are made from the same material, that they carry the same weight, but in reality, they don't. So the work part, or the work aspect of your life, is like a rubber ball. So if you're juggling all these things and you drop the work ball, it bounces back. So this is something that, like, if something goes wrong with your work, or you don't spend a lot of time in that area, it's not the end of the world. You can recover from that, or you can find another job. So it's something that is you'll be able to recover from if you don't have that, or if you don't spend a lot of time in that. But the other areas of your life are actually, it's like they're made of glass. So it's a glass ball. And what happens when you drop something that's glass? It either chips, or scrapes, or it breaks, it shatters altogether. So what happens when you have millions of pieces of shattered glass? You can't really put it back together, or you can't really put it back together easily, right? So just think about that as like your family. Like, if you've just completely neglected your family for your career, then it's really hard to get back to that, and to really have or put back those relationships, because they're like a glass ball. So that's kind of the analogy that he has, as far as doing this juggling act of all the different aspects of your life. So I have an example of this, because when my first child, so when we were having our baby, or when I was pregnant, I should say, we actually had trouble conceiving. We did fertility, and we finally got pregnant. And then something went wrong around right before the 28th week. I was not feeling well. I actually had a doctor's appointment that day, and I had been feeling really bad and having a lot of pain the last couple of weeks before that. So I went in to my normal doctor's appointment, and found out that I had really high blood pressure, and something was going wrong. I had actually preeclampsia, and I had to deliver at 28 weeks. So I had an emergency C-section, and I had my son, who was about 1 pound 9 ounces. So I was working at the time. I was working full time, and I actually had to go in that day or the day that I went in for the appointment, I had to go into work. Well, obviously, a lot of things changed, right? Because I had a baby in the NICU, and we didn't know what was going to happen. So at that point, work was not important, right? So that rubber ball, yeah, I dropped that one, because the part that was really important was that my baby was in the NICU, and I just couldn't go to work, right? And obviously I was sick, I was in the hospital, and I couldn't physically do it. But he was in the NICU for a long time. He was in the NICU for about 3 months, and he got better, and now he's 9 years old, and he's a little brat, but it's been 9 years. But just to give you an example of how there is this imbalance, right? Because obviously my work was not important at that point. My family was more important, and that was okay, because for that short period of time that I had to take care of my baby in the NICU, and then take care of him afterwards when he came home, and we have a baby who's on oxygen for a while, and had to do occupational therapy and all that kind of stuff, and I still couldn't work. That was my life at that point. So there was a counterbalance where I was focusing more on my family for a period of time, for a long period of time, and then I went back to work. So that's kind of the example that I wanted to give you as far as what I experienced. But you know, how you kind of think about certain things, like how you think about this whole balanced life, that there really isn't a balanced life, I think is going to help you better better in your life, because you don't have to feel like you always have to be perfect at everything, because we just can't do it. We can't be perfect. We can't be completely balanced. We can't always be with our family, or we can't always be at work, or we can't always do this, that, or the other. It's like you just have to focus on, well, what's most important right now, and it's really about priorities. Like, what's most important? So is family more important right now? Okay, then I have to do something about work if work is taking up a lot of time. So it's always this kind of it's kind of this game that you have to play, but you really have to be careful with the things that you know you are taking focus away from, and make sure that it's not one of those super important things or super important aspects of your life. All right, I hope that was helpful, and I hope you guys have a great day. All right.